Hello, insatiable listeners. It has been a while. A lot has happened since our last season, my last couple of updates. It's been a lot. I just can feel we all need a deep exhale right now. Um, I wanted to chime in here today because I wanted to give you some free Truths with Food resources slash updates. But before we get there, I just wanted to really let you know that I'm hoping you are all doing well. I can't emphasize how chaotic, up and down, disorienting this past year has been. I know for many of us, there's been a lot of upsides to the pandemic, and there's also been a lot of downsides. Sides. So, like most experiences, not all bad or all good. But I know, I think I've hit my fourth pandemic wall in February. And we actually, our whole home got coronavirus in February. We don't know who brought it into the house. We've all been very careful. In fact, I barely left the house really since Essa was born in late October 2019. Thankfully, it was mild. The worst part was the fatigue was pretty crushing, and we lost some childcare in there. So it's always fun to have to also take care of a toddler when you have crushing fatigue. And obviously, no one could come down, like my parents couldn't come down and help us, even though they still have coronavirus antibodies. We didn't feel safe having them come in. And Essa had his very first fever. So that was really stressful. It's his first illness that he had, but fortunately, it was just a fever one night, and then he was off a little bit and had a decrease in appetite, but he really bounced back from it. So we've all had the Rona, and it also left. I know Carlos and I both feeling pretty down afterwards. I don't know if anyone else has had it and had that experience, and for me, depression is largely an inflammation issue I discovered in working through my own chronic depression years ago. But it definitely just left me pretty down in February. So I'm assuming after the inflammation it caused, that was part of a natural reaction. But fortunately, I'm recording this the first week in March, and I've been able to get back into exercising and recover from that. So uh, got to manage that effectively. I know I thought I had coronavirus last June, but whatever I had last June was way worse than the actual coronavirus. I did get tested for antibodies and I never had them. This was last year. So I really doubt I had the coronavirus twice. So oddly, I got something last year that was worse in many ways than the coronavirus. For me, it just felt like a pretty bad cold. Not even a horrible cold. I actually thought it was just a winter cold, and then got tested and was surprised that it came back positive, which then triggered our whole house to get tested, minus Essa. The doctor said, he probably has it. And if he starts having breathing issues, then you go to the ER. So, yeah, our whole house had it. So, yeah, I used it as the time, especially when Essa was asleep, to rewatch and binge Mad Men. I just love that show. Can't recommend it enough. And I had watched it when it first came out more than 10 years ago, and I saw it so different now, especially post Me Too movement. So if you like that show, I can't recommend it enough going back and watching it. It also felt amazing to watch people dressed up so well when, I've mostly been wearing athleisure for the past year. So that's a personal update from me, but we're all doing fine now. Minus we have, as soon as we got through the coronavirus, some pretty intense water damage in our house. So it's, I always think of Laura McGowan's quote, "Life doesn't get easier, we get better." And that's kind of been 2021 so far for our family. And I know from talking with a lot of you over DM on Instagram or through email and my own clients, that everyone has just had it almost seems like the ups and downs are exaggerated in a way. So I'm just thinking of all of you. And I haven't been able to put out a season because I've just been bogged down with everything. And I'm just moving a lot slower. And that is one of my first updates. So I'll get into there. But I wanted to chime in here today in this mini-sode to give you some free resources and some updates to support you on your own choice with food. And I'm doing this because, first of all, I wanted to create this mini-sode because I realize that there's going to be a lot of post-quarantine weight loss pressure, especially in the upcoming months as we all go out into the world again. Lots of people have gained weight, and that happens often. Not only does disordered eating often resurface or start or get worse, um, when we feel unsafe. Our relationship to food often mirrors our relationship to safety. And there's, I kind of think of safety on three levels. You have your physical safety, your psychological safety, and your soul safety. And if you're interested in this, I did a whole Instagram post about this, if you wanted to understand it a little bit more. But related to weight gain and our eating during COVID, for most of us, our sense of safety has been compromised during this pandemic. I've had a couple clients who grew up with food insecurity as kids. The lack of being, or even if we restricted ourselves from diets, right? A lot of us haven't been able to get all the food that we've needed. There's been tons of shortages. It varies depending on, I've realized where my clients live. My clients live all over the world. So there's been different degrees of food scarcity, which has triggered a lot of people. A lot of us have worried about getting the coronavirus and how it would react to us. I know that was a big question for me. I was never really worried about myself, but I was like, they say it's not that bad in most people, but as someone who, most kids don't get cancer, and I did. So I always know that you need to remain humble with statistics. None of us are an N of one on a bell curve. So many of us have been worried about our own health, worried about others' health, especially if our parents are older or in compromised health. A lot of us worried about our financial security. Or on the flip side, a lot of my clients have been promoted, but the work is just relentless right now. The boundaries between work and home have become a lot more murky, and it's led to a lot more overwork for people. And then on top of that, all of us are experiencing some sort of loss. I am someone who often my emotions catch up with me afterwards. And lately, I've just been crying about when I think of the lack of community I never got to have during S's first year, and what he's missed out on, and how stressful it is when for us, just not only adjusting as new parents and not having a community to really rely on and build, right, and support each other. We always need to be with people who are going through the same stuff as us, especially something as profound as becoming new parents. But that, and then not being able to really take Essa out into the world, there's a real loss there. And yes, I think he will bounce back and be fine. And Carlos and I have had to shoulder a lot as new parents. We've just childcare has been up and down. There's not a lot of chance to even get out of the house to have a break from the chaos of having a newborn. So, it's and part of the ways that I protect myself from really feeling my feelings is thinking, well, Allie, you haven't had it as bad as other people. You're relatively healthy. You have financial security. You have, your parents had COVID in the beginning, so you've been able to see them. And though I've still struggled. And so if you're like me and maybe haven't had it quote as bad as other people, you are probably still struggling. This is really hard. This is not a natural way to live. So I just want us all to acknowledge how hard it's been. And not to mention even the election. I mean, that was stressing me the F out. And that feels like 50 years ago. So I'm bringing all this up because I think to just rush over all of this and the changes that it's facilitated and the vulnerabilities that it's brought up, and just to try to patch all of that over with a detox or a diet, or a 30-day challenge means that we're probably going to have to deal with these issues again if we don't deal with them and we try to just look at our weight as a problem to be fixed rather than something to explore and understand in relation to increasing our signals of safety. So I really want you to encourage you not to do that, and I wanted to provide some resources because a lot of times I think we feel powerless and helpless when we know we don't want to diet, and maybe we've tried body positivity or intuitive eating or something and it doesn't really seem to be working. We really need a solution that will work. And so I wanted to offer you some of that. And I also want you to know that I am taking my own medicine here. I don't, my eating is really on point, and yet I still have pregnancy weight to lose. I am 16 months postpartum, and I still have pregnancy weight to lose. I'm really unclear on some of the reasons. I'm clear on some of the other reasons, but I'm in this with you, right? So I can look at a lot of my friends who lost their baby weight in like a year, right? Compare myself, or thinking, oh my God, it's already been 16 months. But I promise you, I'm not going nuclear or detoxing or anything extreme. So while my food is already on point, yet I have to keep on working on my exercise, right? That's one piece in terms of safety signals that I know that I need to work on. I've had so many issues. I had insomnia for months. And then right when I was getting over that, I had plantar fasciitis. And then once I figured out how to work out with that and lift weights, I hurt my back because I was lifting too much compared to, I guess I lost a lot of strength in pregnancy, even though I worked out then. And these past couple of months. And just in general, a lot of us are feeling a lot more pain because our variety of movements have been absent. The Atlantic did a great article on how so many people are having more body pain because we used to move our bodies in new and different ways. And now we're kind of, have this monotony of routine, monotony of movement. And then I'm managing hormonal changes from pregnancy. I am an older mom. So for some of us older moms, it takes longer. So I am with you in that if you're feeling like you want to lose weight and you're feeling like, oh my God, people are going to see you, right? um, and I'm not going nuclear because I've shifted so much of my relationship to food and body, and know that you can too, and do something that's more sustainable than I don't even think diets are quick fixes because they set us up or cleanses or detoxes for long-term issues. So rather, what I really just want to encourage you to do is I'm going to give you some resources, but also if you need a plan, I'm someone who likes structure a lot, is just to work on increasing the signals of safety to your body. I do think, our collective body has felt really unsafe, and that trickles down into our individual bodies based on what we have felt unsafe about. So we don't have to do nothing and just, define self-acceptance as resignation. We can take action, yeah, but I want it to be aligned action that will support our body's health, overall health and well-being. And if weight loss, happens because of that, awesome. But not keep them, but I don't want us to be in an extreme cycle. So signals of safety, physical safety, the right foods for our bodies, being moderate, overeating and undereating both make the body feel unsafe. Sleep. This has been massive for me in the last year as someone who didn't get sleep for the first 9 months, and Essa still has some trouble sleeping certain nights. But then I had my own insomnia and had to shift my diet to get to work through that. But sleep is really, really important. Sunshine, especially in the morning, 30 minutes will help produce melatonin that will help sleep, and movement, right? I know for me, I've lost a lot of muscle mass, I think, from the past couple of years. So I'm working on increasing my muscle mass to send signals of safety to the body. But general movement it helps the body feel safe. Psychological safety, really starting to become aware of our body story and work on shifting that, specifically the judgments that we have of ourselves in our body story. And I created a brand new freebie to help people with this. There's 10 journal questions to unearth your body story, your food and body story. So a lot of my overall work, especially the Truth with Food process, is about rewriting our stories. But before we can rewrite our stories, we have to understand the story we have As I say in Truth with Food, if we don't know the story we have, it has us, it controls us. And as we can start to see our story, we can get more distance and change the story. But first, we have to deconstruct how we also judge ourselves and that story, because it's those judgments and the reaction those judgments cause when we feel good or bad with our food, good or bad with our body image. Those reactions end up reinforcing our story, actually. So it's kind of like the water in the fish. Our stories and our judgments of ourselves are kind of like the water in the fish tank, right? If your fish are struggling, you can change the fish food, you can add more fish so they're not lonely, you can add more fish toys. But if the water is the issue, that is going to be the most dominant problem. That, like, nothing is really going to change, right? You might get a little incremental improvement, but you got to change the water. And our story and how we judge ourselves, both good and bad in our story, is the water. Often we think we only have to look at how we judge ourselves when we feel like we're off track or being bad. And yet we also have to understand how we judge ourselves when we're being good and what we think being good is, because often what we think is good for our bodies isn't. So if you want to start to unpack that for yourself, you can visit alishapiro.com/unearth your food and body story. So unearth your food and body story, alishapiro.com. Or if you follow me on Instagram, or if you want to, at Ali M. Shapiro, ALIMSHAPIRO, in my profile link, kind of the link tree that's there, not kind of, the link tree that's there. You can also grab the journal prompts there. And there's also a ton of resources with the prompts to help you further understand your story. So that is, again, a resource to help you really start to fundamentally shift your relationship to food and your body rather than a nuclear approach. And also, I will be running Why Am I Eating This Now live in May to also help you with this. So if you're interested in that, get on the list at alishapiro.com. And that will be running in May. Normally it runs in the fall, but I've got something different going on in the fall that I'll explain in a minute. So we're going to do it in May, June, and July. It's a 3-month program. And then if another option is if you're new to Insatiable, season 10 especially can help you with starting to rewrite your body story and understanding how we totally oversimplify health and weight loss. And it's much deeper than that. And that season can help you with that. So speaking of Insatiable, my second update is that Insatiable will finally be back in the summer. I've gotten emails from so many of you that you just found the show and you're wondering if I'm continuing it. Yes, I am. We will have our next season of Insatiable at the end of June, early July. So if you're on my list, which you can get on at alishapiro.com, or you follow me on Instagram, I'll let you know the exact dates. Or you can hit subscribe if you haven't already to Insatiable, and when the season releases, you will get it. I had hoped to be back earlier, but life had other plans. Like I said earlier, I'm just moving much slower than I ever have in this pandemic. I love doing the podcast, and I want to infuse the season with that enthusiasm instead of burnout. So if you're a new or longtime listener, in the meantime, know that I have a free Truths with Food mini course that supports the Insatiable podcast themes and will help you go deeper. And you can find that free Truths with Food mini course at alishapiro.com/work-with-me. Or you can access the free mini course in my Instagram profile, the link tree. Speaking of Instagram, my third resource and update is that I've been doing Instagram Lives every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Times. I've been doing these, I think, since November, October. What is time anymore is often what I feel like when I'm trying to figure out what time it is. But yeah, these have been super fun. I take your questions that you can submit to me over Instagram or via email at ali@alishapiro.com, and I answer them. So that I can help you exactly where you are on your journey. We've had a current Truths with Food client. Next week, Thursday, March 11th, we'll have my client, Serena Ryder, who is a literal rock star. She's very big in Canada, and I am sure she will be, hopefully, with this new album, making even more inroads in the US, if that's what she wants. I don't even know. We've never talked about it. But this new album that she is releasing is called The Art of Falling Apart. And it's about her mental health journey. And we're going to be discussing at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on March 11th, all about how food became medicine for her. And yet that pressure, when you know food makes you feel better, and there becomes this pressure to be perfect or even stricter, right? When it's really tied to your health. And so we'll talk about our work together and how she's navigating getting out of some of that perfectionist thinking, so that she can preserve her mental health. It's an amazing album. If you go to Serena Ryder on Instagram, you can listen to a free sample of Better Now, which is one of my favorite songs on the album. I had the privilege of hearing the album last year. And the whole album is just exquisite. So that's the kind of guests that I'm having when I have guests. We also had Victoria, who emailed me a question, and I asked her if she wanted to do some live coaching. So we can do that with you if you have a question. But she had some questions around the tired trigger, and how that led her to what she called the sugars, which I love that concept. She called it that. So I just live coached her around that. And then there's other questions that you've all been submitting about everything from, am I getting the coronavirus vaccine, to how to help with sleep, to some people have started emotional eating during coronavirus and how to deal with those slip ups if you're new to emotional eating, or if you just don't have clarity around what's actually happening. So come join me there. Again, my Instagram handle is Ali M. Shapiro, ALIMSHAPIRO. And you can view all the past ones in my profile under the highlights. There's an AMA, which is Ask Me Anything. And there's such a range of questions. You guys are so bright and so deep. I just love it. So you can check out those resources there. And then lastly, this is more a resource for those of you who really want to take your health coaching to the next level. My Truth with Food certification round will be running in September 2021. This certification has really grown out of a lot of my clients are coaches, therapists, and traditional health professionals, and they're interested in a more integrative model of change, truths with food, like truths with food, right? That really integrates our physiology and our psychology and the intersection of that. So we have to pay attention to the body when we're dealing with food, believe it or not. It's not just a coaching reframe. But it's a really powerful process. And I'm going to be running the second round. You'll get more details, but in a nutshell, you'll be given permission and access and training so that you can feel masterful around really helping clients who want transformational change and are interested in going deep and getting to the root causes. It'll be 6 months of intense training, lots of practice with the tools so that you can have the mastery and guide clients through this really powerful process. And you'll also be in a community of other coaches who value mastery, depth, and rebel rousing. It's not for people, and there's nothing wrong with this, but if you want to, give green smoothie recipes and stuff like that, it's not that, although we may include some of those, but this is really about depth around adult development and coaching. And it's just different than what's out there. So it's going to be lit, I think, as the young kids used to say. I even feel old saying that. But if you're interested, I want to give you a perspective on how powerful this can be if you're building a health coaching practice for yourself, or you have a therapy practice and want to incorporate support for clients who really struggle with food. So Laura Folks, who was in the first round of certification, had this testimonial she shared. She said, getting certified in Truths with Food is the best investment I've made in my business. The structure of the first session is a game changer with my clients, getting further in one session than 5 months previously. And overall, clients are making faster progress with more breakthroughs. In a short 3 months of going through the process, my confidence level as a coach has improved, and I'm having more fun because it's amazing to help facilitate the type of results my clients are getting. Overall, I'm really enjoying learning the theory behind Truths with Food so I can better guide my clients. My coaching has strengthened as I learn more about myself and how to separate my story feelings from my clients. The mentoring sessions with Ali are invaluable as I know when I'm on the right track, and it's powerful when a client is feeling stuck, knowing I'm not alone in this process. If all that wasn't enough, I made 90% of my investment back before we even started by signing up 2 clients who I'm taking through the process. I'm really excited about what the future has in store for my coaching business using the Truths with Food methodology. So, if you're interested in that kind of holistic support, right? Being on a path to coaching mastery, which in my opinion is the key to sustainable business, is give your clients outstanding value. And when you have that mastery, you can communicate and market more clearly so that you get the right kind of clients. And I may be biased, but the clients who do this work are the best. They're not here to play. They want to do challenging work, and they're also just very caring and kind. And I think, again, but this is also what I value, just the best type of clients out there. So if you are interested in the certification, you can join Ali, sign up for my list at alishapiro.com to get the details of the certification as they become available in the summer. So I hope I gave you some really great resources to help you manage this time, especially as I know all of us living in this very beauty centric world, especially with social media, maybe start to feeling a little panicked about our bodies, our food, even going out in the world again. I was talking to one client, she's like, I think I'm going to be anxious when I have to like leave the house again. Right? It's just it's another transition. And, we tend to eat. Some people, if they emotionally eat, they eat during transitions, right? From meeting to meeting, from work to home. And this is going to be a giant transition. I think there's going to be a lot of stop and starts. And it's going to be a little, touch and go here. So I hope you use these resources to ground you. And if you need more support, again, why am I writing this now? Live will be running in May. I would love to have as many of you. I mean, it's a small group. We cap it, but you will it's not like a massive group program where you get lost in. You'll have individual attention. But having that group support is just a game changer. We learn so much faster when we learn from others. So really hang tight here. I know that a big transition is coming up. I'm here to support you with a variety of resources. And I really hope you are all taking good care of yourselves and each other. The light at the end of the Rona tunnel is coming. I could just cry just thinking about it, and how much easier it's just going to make parenting, childcare, life. I'm sure you have your own individual pressures that you're looking to alleviate. But hang in there. The end is coming, which will, of course, instigate a new beginning. And hopefully you'll all tune in to our summer insatiable season. In the meantime, again, remember, find me on Instagram at alliemshapiro.com or sign up for my list at allyshapiro.com to access those resources, including the links the website links and places I told you to go on my website earlier. All right. Happy spring for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, and happy fall to those of you in the Southern Hemisphere.